Hi all, this is Britta and Hans, and welcome back.
Last time, you remember, we talked about how to conduct a proper analysis. We agreed how important it is to formulate key takeaways based on your insights, which can propel you into the next phase. Well, picking up from there today, we will continue with our case-solving cycle. We will zoom into two distinct phases, the ideation phase and the solution selection phase. So we look into how to find feasible solutions, which we can also call options, and how to select the very best one. Well, let's dive in.
Yeah, so what is ideation? The term is mostly used in design thinking and refers to the creative process during which a team can generate ideas and solutions through different types of sessions like prototyping, sketching, brainstorming and so on. Brainstorming is widely used, so we are confident you are already familiar with that type of ideation. However, brainstorming is not always suitable for case cracking. So today we investigate two advanced techniques for case cracking. Before that, let's set some simple yet important ground rules you want to consider, no matter what ideation technique you use.
Consider all brains equal. Yes, we know. Some brains might be better than others, but in an ideation, any brain can add value. Sometimes the best ideas come from unexpected directions. And cracking a case is very, very complex. Bringing a lot of ideas from different perspectives to the table is crucial. So give everyone an equal chance and stay open to new ideas.
Ground rule number 2, keep ideas ownerless. During a brainstorm, attaching a person's name to an idea can create more obstacles than it can help. Doing that, you may create a disruption in the team, because instead of the ideas competing against each other, you will have team members compete as well. That tension is unnecessary. It's not about who is better. Cracking a case is not the right scenario for self-promotion. Instead, it is a team effort, and what matters is how you perform as a team. All ideas are collectively the team's ideas.
Right. Rule number 3. Keep it short. Effective brainstorming sessions do not take up much time. Coming up with solutions is a tiring activity, so you will need to be efficient. A good ideation is therefore fast-paced and to the point. This means that you also want your own contributions brief. So minimize your airtime and communicate clearly when you explain your idea.
And rule number 4, stay creative.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Probably the most difficult thing to do is to be creative. An early warning, thinking creatively does not mean you will accept and integrate every idea in your solution.
No.
The options you present to your audience have to be realistic and plausible. Every option you come up with should be aimed to solve one or more issues previously identified. And so it is smart to apply some filters to them and narrow them down. We will see how important that is once we arrive to the decision-making part.
Okay, now that we have set the ground rules, we can zoom into the advanced techniques we promised you. Brainwriting. This technique is quite similar to brainstorming, except that it is non-verbal. The main concept is that everyone writes down a few, let's say 3 or 4 ideas, and nobody speaks during the process. Allow a few minutes for this process. Then everyone passes their ideas to the person next to him, who will then build on to those ideas, adding comments and improvement points. And then the papers are passed around until they make it all the way around the table. Then, on a group level, you can have a central discussion where you look at these ideas and share your thoughts. When we use brainwriting instead of brainstorming, everyone has an equal chance to contribute, and we do not fall in love with the first solution that is proposed.
Let's investigate mind mapping. Sometimes you might be hesitant about the ideas you have so far. And to spark more and maybe better ideas, use mind mapping. The technique is a visual way to approach the ideation phase that can be extremely helpful, especially for those who think visually, like me. Use mind mapping as the next logical step after brainwriting. In our experience, best is to start with brainwriting as an individual activity and then collectively use mind mapping. Take one idea as a starting point, and from there you can start the mapping process. Expand on it a bit. Also take the other ideas you had and see if these can be connected. Then take another idea and repeat the process. In the end, you will have a few directions in the form of connected ideas, and these we call options. One of these options, the best one, will be your solution.
We will need to look critically at our options to be able to select the best ones. So let's look at a concrete example to explain. WellYou is experiencing financial instability. Adam needs to identify how to bring in more financial capital. And here we have identified 8 different options. To see which options are worth comparing, let's place all of them into a funnel. And we will narrow down our options by applying the SFA filters: suitability, feasibility, and acceptability. If you are not familiar with these filters, pause the video and look it up. Now let's apply them to Adam's case. First,
Suitability.
suitability.
Here you ask, does the option leverage the strengths of the company or capitalize on an opportunity? This helps you to see whether you succeed in solving the issues. We feel that most options pass this filter, but developing another app will likely not help Adam to reduce the financial instability his company faces.
Okay, let's examine feasibility. Will the option work in practice? Can it be financed? Can the required resources be obtained and integrated? So with feasibility, we want to know if it's possible to implement the option. We cannot propose something that has zero chance happening, like spending on a TV commercial to gain traction. You can argue that more customers will increase financial stability, of course, and you're right, but spending on large-scale commercials would be way too expensive for WellYou. So that would be financially unfeasible. We have also looked in what grants could be accessible for Adam. Unfortunately, the only grant that suits WellYou has closed the application phase months ago. So that's a no-go either. So temporarily not feasible. Another option that is not feasible is franchising. Franchising in this stage of the company's development makes no sense because the app hasn't proven itself yet.
So finally, the last filter. It's about acceptability. Does the option you propose meet the expectations of stakeholders? Is the level of risk acceptable? Is the possible return acceptable? Step into Adam's shoes. What would he do in this situation? How would he react to the option you propose? Here we can eliminate one more option. Selling the app, even though this would eliminate the issues around WellYou for Adam, it's not something he would want to consider. We know how involved he is, and we are convinced such a proposal would be rejected.
So we narrow down our options to 3 options. That's much more manageable. Now it is time to draw a high-level plan about what each option entails. For instance, if Adam applies for a bank loan, would he be able to score one? What amount can you estimate? Is a long payback period likely? Also, what is the interest rate for banks in Germany? How does a bank loan address the other key issues we have? Let's stop for a moment. What we do right now is, in a way, part of the analysis. So if you propose bank loan as an option, you actually want to analyze the conditions under which WellYou secures a loan. So the ideation phase, and we're in it right now, is intertwined with the analysis phase. So you need to be flexible in your case solving process and go back and forward between analysis phase and ideation phase until all the relevant analysis for the proposed options has been covered.
So we have finally arrived to comparing our options, remaining options. The basis for the comparison is a set of criteria. These come from your analysis. Your criteria should aim to eliminate the key issues and thus achieve the company's objectives. You want to define those with extra care. If there is unclarity about what a criteria means, the validity of your whole comparison is weakened. What criteria can we use for our example?
Well, probability to secure the investment is an important one. Scoring a bank loan for a business idea, this hasn't proven itself yet, might be more difficult than bringing in investors. Banks are quite reserved these days, at these times, and a startup will undergo a thorough assessment. We know about that. Also, time is an important consideration. Adam is under time pressure, so he cannot afford to wait too long. The counter value of the cash injection is also critical. Would Adam give up equity in exchange for a quick buck? That's a tough decision. What if the firm will be valuated 5 times or even 10 times more in the future? Maybe it is smarter to take the loan and rather just pay the yearly interest. On the other hand, a crowdfunding campaign would completely eliminate the financial burden of paying back a loan or paying out dividends. However, is it worth the effort to build a crowdfunding campaign? And what's the probability of being successful? Well, all these criteria are instrumental in assessing the options.
Of course, in a different scenario, a different case, different criteria apply. We developed a list with the most important ones, both qualitative and quantitative measures. This list is not exhaustive, but you will see that we actually covered most situations you can encounter in case cracking. Feel free to use them. You can find a link under this video, so check it out.
One more thing, Britta. The criteria you identify are key, but you also want to know how to use them properly in your case-solving process. So in case cracking, we use a decision-making matrix. Here we list the options and then we score them along the criteria. It's up to you to set your scoring frame. This can take up a value from 1 to 3 or from 1 to 5, or you can give it a star rating, whatever you like. If you feel some criteria are more important than other criteria, you can also do weighted calculations. It's all up to you. But what is most important, you should be able to argue for your choices. And the scores should reflect the strength of the options.
Very true. Now, this was the last bit of information for today. It is a lot, and we know most of us learn by doing. So, we challenge you to put everything in practice of what we discussed today. First, take the case, identify key issues, then conduct an ideation phase to collect as many ideas as possible from which you can develop options. After that, narrow down your options with the SFA framework and then develop criteria and finally benchmark them against each other by using a decision-making matrix. We are certain you'll get the hang of it and find a great solution. We will see you in the next episode, in which we talk about the importance of developing a strategy and we look into the higher levels of an implementation plan. Until then, best of luck.
Best of luck.
Bye-bye.